One, one, one. We are live. We are live. We are live. Oma. Ah, fantastic. Fantastic. Beena should be any moment now. Yeah, any moment. I'll just wait a little bit for Beena. While Beena comes, mark it as featured. Wow, Facebook is slow. Wow. Just to mark it as featured, it's giving me the little white circle. That's very interesting. See that? There. Yesterday was a very profound session. We discussed in detail impeccability, particularly as it connects to attunement. And those two together, right there, we have a recipe, a formula, a philosophy, a moreness, completeness that takes care of everything. When there's so much in yesterday's session, but really it boils down to just those two essential concepts when fully applied. Now, of course, being impeccable and living in attunement, it takes more than just saying so and thinking so. It's more to it than that. It's not that simple. But it's not that complicated either. That's the key point. It's not that complicated either. Yeah? No, it's just a matter of shifting how we are, shifting our understanding of what's involved in life. Yes, and shifting our priorities. And I did mention this, right? Way of Impeccability, Module 1, Session 1 is called Clarity of Intent. Yeah? Our intents, unfortunately, aren't all that clear. Not only aren't they clear, but they also a bit muddled and muddy and murky, and they're not really that fulfilling, because what we think we should want corrupts us. Yes, we think we should want power and fame and dominance and superiority and all this other blah blah blah. Be Norma. I was gonna say Beena, Norma's here, but Beena's not here. I love it. I love it. Hello, Norma. Hello. Yes, 3 ticks and a heart. Yes, I concur. I concur. 3 ticks and a half. Hello, marvelous Norma. Hello, marvelous. I always enjoy so much. Every day I enjoy when you come. Well, I chat to you every day as well, and I enjoy you every day. This is a skill, and Beena and I were talking about that also earlier in the week. This skill, this ability to enjoy things constantly, over and over and over again. Yes, simple things, basic things. I don't mean to be calling you simple, Norma, but we have this idea that joy and love needs to have all this stuff to it, needs to have complication and specialness and complexity, and it's a square circle, really. For heavens knows what people imagine things are supposed to be to bring us joy and love. And that's why they're bored, because they have all these rules. And no, I don't have any rules. I enjoy simple things over and over and over and over again. Yes, like bread. I never get tired of bread. I've been eating bread all my life. I'm still not tired. Still not bored with it. I still enjoy it every single day. Yeah, and I can eat it every single day. Right? This is the same thing with love. How can you possibly get tired of loving? You can't. It's just a joy to love. And once you love, then you just enjoy it over and over and over and over again. As simple as that, right? We have to get rid of this idea that things need to be special to be enjoyed. Things need to be special to be loved. That superiority paradigm rubbish. It's total foolishness, idiotic. Yes? I mean, it's like, don't you love breathing? And yet you do the same exact thing over and over and over again. Do you ever get tired of breathing? I hope not. You know, I hope you love it every single time. See? Your heartbeat. You gotta love that heartbeat of yours, doing the same thing over and over and over again. So the thing to learn is to learn to love the mundane, to love the ordinary. I'm not calling you ordinary, Norma. You're not, right? You have so much moreness to you, but nonetheless, right? You also don't need to have some fantastic, who knows what, be a movie star, Hollywood, I don't know, something. You don't need all that, right? That's a superiority paradigm, beliefs and fantasies that are unnecessary. Yeah, don't need them. Don't need them. So when we get this and we understand this, then things shift. Then things shift, right? And we have this moreness. We have a click. Hey, wait a second. This is a magical thing to do. To this ability to be able to love the same thing and enjoy it over and over and over again, right? Day in, day out. This is fantastic. What more do you want than this? Suddenly your life is full. Yeah, fantastic. Isn't that just absolutely fantastic? To have moreness in your life every single day, easily and simply, easily and simply. Yeah, this is like, how much better can you go? What a skill! What a skill! Yeah, it's very profound, very very profound. And yet it goes so against everything that superiority paradigm teaches and pushes onto us, right? And this is where I never mentioned it yesterday, but wrapped up in everything that I share, right? I'm sharing the philosophy of appropriateness, or the A plus philosophy. It's got two names, right? And in the philosophy of appropriateness, or the A plus philosophy, is contained Way-of-Impeccability, capital H hearing, psychology of superiority paradigm, and nobility, nobleness, being noble, right? All of these are profound programs. And all of them also are part of the philosophy of appropriateness. Is there's sub-philosophies, like the philosophy of takeaway, right? Which Beena called me up in the middle of the night, and she shared with me her takeaway from yesterday's session. Her takeaway was a resolve to apply something consistently every day, a commitment, a firm intent to be applying this. Yeah, this is, and then of course doing it, right? You've got to follow through and do it. But also, so we have this philosophy of takeaway, which is a very big deal. And there's many of these sub philosophies, but one of them that's most important and super critical is the philosophy of opposite. Right? Not the philosophy of opposites, as as some people want to be calling it when they hear me say this. No, the philosophy of opposite. When it's in that way, it immediately makes it very obvious and clear that this is about opposite, the concept of opposite. And there's a philosophy to opposite. It's not necessarily the specific details of opposites, plural, right? Which now it's like, okay, if it's not black, then it's white. No. The philosophy of opposite says, forget black and white. What about colors? All the colors are in a way opposite to white or black. Yes? Every single one of them. They're not exactly opposite, but they are not the same either. And when we start to understand this, we understand this philosophy of color, and to understand that opposite is exceedingly limited. And also, when we really start looking at life, right, and this is where I'm getting to this, When we start looking at the defaults that we are taught, all the stuff that we are taught, and we start to say, wait a minute, but this doesn't make any sense. Wait a minute, this is very limited. Yes, it makes sense within this context, but when you look a bit bigger, that's crazy. Then we start to bring philosophy of opposite to play. And when we take our culture and you start looking at the very opposite, and you start exploring in that world of opposite, you start to discover all those colors. Yeah? And you say, wow, there's more, there's more, there's more. So when we take our culture and the defaults, all the shoulds and supposed tos and must be's, and we just go opposite and start exploring in that world of opposite, we go sideways from there, we discover the colors, right? And this is a fantastic thing in life. So everything that I was saying, it's very important to be aware of this. Yesterday is a very profound session, but to be aware that so much moreness comes from exploring the opposite of what we are supposed to do and we've been told that we should do. Yes? Should is generally very corrupting. And whenever you see should, start looking and saying, yeah, what about the opposite of the should? Oh, okay. Like you should love, love should have specialness and you should be special to be loved. Absolute rubbish. Absolute, complete and utter rubbish. See? See what I mean? By should being corruptive? Complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. Absolute bollocks, as they would say in England, right, Norma? Absolute bollocks. Complete and utter bollocks. On that note, I think Beena has joined us, right? Beena, you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hello, hello, marvelous. Hello.
Okay, we have Green here today.
Yes, Grain is here. I'm
Okay.
recording. Everything is
Yeah.
good. I've shared
Okay.
everything.
Good.
I'm ready to go. We can finish reading. But first share your thought of it,
Okay. Yes.
if you have
Today's
one.
thought of the day is actually coming from yesterday. Another experience, another opportunity to learn and grow. Few months, like 3, 4 months ago, um, I made a decision, and it was on surface. Of course, uh, it was right decision because the data I had, the information I had about that situation was like really whatever I can do. It was to help someone, and I tried. I tried my best, whatever I could do at that moment, and I made a decision, and I was very happy about that. Like, okay, yes, it was right, and I did, and it came by attunement. But this was my thought, but now when I realized that it was not really thinking it through to the end kind of decision. It was just like the force of circumstance, you can say that was the decision. And then few things happened, and then I had to revise my decision, and go through that again. And in those moments when I was going through that, like, okay, I have to make a decision now, that okay, do we want to continue this or not. uh it brings us to bring out so much more. So it brings out so much more, and the realization and understanding that no matter what, how critical the situation could be, like, okay, it was very critical, at least this is the data I had, that okay, someone really in need of help, and I tried my best. And then when I had to revise my decision,
You didn't just
I
try,
was
Beena. You didn't just try. Try
yes.
implies that, you may not have done what was needed and necessary. You did, and you did supply what was needed and what was appropriate.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I did. But yesterday, when I had to revise my decision, like few days ago, I had to revise my decision. I was feeling disappointed,
yeah.
and I was like, okay, oh
That's on
yes,
them, not on you.
disappointment. Yes, but with the disappointment, me having disappointment from anything was really disappointing for me, because I
Yes,
realized, so I
yes,
was
but that
feeling
needs to be
disappointed by
adjusted.
others, which was really disappointing for me because of my own self. Like, okay, oh, now when I'm having disappointment from others, it's really disappointing from Beena. That, oh, why? Because for me, mostly disappointments comes from the expectations, and when you get expectations which cannot be met, when you think on behalf of others and assume things, when you make decisions out of uh, emotions, emotional influence, out of assumptions, out of some subtle inadvertent ego, that, oh, I can do something about it, oh, I need to, I must, and maybe a superiority, I don't know exactly about superiority, but
Misguided help of
maybe,
desire.
yes, so that was the thing. And and I, the realization was like, okay, first I was like, still I'm feeling disappointed, and the moment I shared and then he started sharing back, that disappointment from others turns into disappointment from myself, that how could I have disappointment. So it means
No,
that I was expecting certain specific outcomes,
no,
which means
no.
that it was
It's
my
arrogant.
ego was telling me that, oh, okay, so you did something, now it has to be nice and exactly as you want, which was of course not, can it cannot be a guarantee. And if I would now, so now the understanding is, I'm rambling a bit because it is hard to articulate it um, exactly
But
or
that's why
precisely
we're
right
here
now.
to do exactly this practice, expression.
Yes, so I'm sharing and I'm trying to articulate my thoughts. So when that thing happened and when Sil started sharing about so much more, and I really want him to repeat that, at least a bit of it, that was the moment I said, oh, it was not only that my decision was influenced by or tinted by
Painted.
emotions and some shoulds, that I must help, I can help, and blah blah blah, but also that it was an ego there. Who was I to decide or be in a position that I can help? I could only share things. If I would be in that capital S sharing mindset at that time, then there should
Expectation.
be or must be no, absolutely no disappointment,
And because
because
there
the
would be no
sharing is free.
expectations, your sharing is free. The person
Exactly,
can use it as they see fit. You have no idea what is fit for them or not. You can only share
exactly,
what
exactly.
believe
And
or see as appropriate, but
so
that's
my
limited.
assumption, absolutely. So you are a bit soft. So I think that, okay, when you will come back, then share, then will be, because it's really important. So for me, two more lessons. Of course, many lessons there, but right now, what I am able to grab first, disappointments. So then, okay, in every situation, even in big or small or trivial or mundane or profound decisions of your life, uh, try. Of course, we need to try to be impeccable and try to thinking it through to the end, not get influenced by emotions. Because
Mustn't
when we
try to
when
be
we make
impeccable. We must simply just be impeccable. All there is to it. No trying, just doing.
it's a big deal, still, to be
I know,
impeccable.
I know, I know.
Yes, so I try to do that. This is
Yeah,
what my intent is, that okay, I try to do that. I cannot, I'm not 100% sure right now that, okay, oh yes, okay, impeccability, yes, I tried everything.
yeah.
I tried this,
That's the
but
thing with
like in
impeccability.
this,
You're never going to be sure.
yes, so
Only just
in
do what.
in that situation, I was not impeccable, even with my own abilities and understanding and circumstances. I could be impeccable, at least try to be impeccable, but I was influenced by my own emotions, my assumptions, my shoulds. That, okay, if someone is saying something that I should do this, and I jumped in. So it was good. Okay. It's some sort of intent to actually materialize that, okay, we were able to make few things comfortable for some people, and it was good. But then my ego was there when I made that decision out of sympathy, which was like, okay, inadvertently I was assuming that I am in a position that I can help and I must do this. And also that, okay, if I did something, then they should also do something according to my expectations. And that was not fun. This is still not fun. When I think like that, I feel, come on, this is yikes. This is yikes that
Oh,
I did something. So now the realization that that intent was not 100% pure.
oh,
Okay.
oh, oh,
Yes.
oh.
So that was not there. And then of course the disappointment, like, oh, that, okay, that person did something, and and when still she started sharing, and I was like, come on, you did, Beena, no one else. You did.
Oh, oh,
And it was so huge for me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
ego is something, yes, of course. I'm not the person who says that, okay, oh, I just I want to kill my ego, get rid of it. No, no, for me it is a very
Hey,
important tool,
hey.
and it is very important for us. But ego is a very efficient servant. Like
Yes,
if
keeps
if
us
you
real.
just have, like right now, if Sil is just sipping his tea or coffee, and just assume that the ego is just like a butler, a very efficient butler, is standing
Mm.
beside him, and when he will just like, okay, Sil, just put down his cup. That butler will assume that, okay, now Sil is done and he will take care of it. This is how it is. But no, not necessarily. So sometimes ego just come into play and they take the control, like driving seat, and then we start doing things without we be um, being aware, without us being aware of it. So it's like it's like a hyper efficient servant who assume on your behalf, like, oh,
Yeah.
if you are going this way, it means that you are going
Yes.
there, and then they are
Yeah.
going to prepare all those things and take care of
Yes.
everything.
Yes. For me, the key takeaway from what you've been saying is to understand that if you are thinking you are helping somebody, stop. You
Exactly.
never ever can know for sure that you actually are helping. Whenever you
Yes.
think you are helping, it's an ego issue. It's an
Yes.
assumption. Yes.
Yes.
And with that goes an inadvertent arrogance. Inadvertent arrogance, right? Not necessarily arrogance on its own, but inadvertent. We don't realize that that our help is an assumption that we are making decisions for someone else. That's arrogance. Yes. But it's
Yes.
inadvertent because we're trying to be good. So help is very complicated, and its philosophy of opposite absolutely applies to help. Yes. That we think we're helping and we're not for the most part, right? Or we may or may not. We don't know, but we cannot assume. So all we can do is share options, and that's it. Say, here we go, here are options. Do with it what you think is best. I don't know. I cannot know because I'm not inside your head, right? I can guess, I can figure out, I can look at implications and extrapolate and do all sorts of stuff, but I cannot know for sure. So all I can legitimately do is share options as best I can. And the more options I share and the more options you have available, well, there you go. Now you have more choices and you can do what's appropriate for you, right? So I'm helping by giving choices. That's as far as my help can go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything other than that, you start getting into ego and arrogance and assumptions and all sorts of problems. I know it's very difficult because we are so ingrained and we've grown up with this culture of wanting to have, excuse me, is very deep seated in us, but we have to be exceedingly careful. Right? Now, where does this come into when we go a little bit more and we start, oh, where's impeccability and attunement? Because that's where our discussion was, right? And this all came from
Yes.
impeccability.
Yes.
Impeccability says I do whatever I can, right? I'm using my energy to best effect, which means I share all the options I can. However, I may share options, and the options I'm sharing are all not good options. I, I don't know what is the moreness that's needed. That's where I turn to attunement. Yes. Attunement will bail me out when I'm at the end and the limits of my knowledge and awareness. So through attunement, I can connect to that which I don't know yet and that which I need to know but am ignorant of. Right? So when we pay attention to attunement, attunement's going to bail us out of this dilemma. When I therefore act according to attunement, I am now going to be able to share that which is appropriate for the individual. I may think it's inappropriate in my limited awareness, but I have to trust in attunement. I have to trust in the moreness. Right? So I just do. And typically I'll be sharing more options. I won't be actually doing something specific, right? Which is how the universe works. It wants you to do it for yourself, wants you to learn for yourself, think for yourself, be aware for yourself. So attunement is the way out of this problem, especially when it comes to help, because help is so dangerous. I've seen plenty times in my life where sadly people help in their mind what they're doing to help, and it just makes the situation worse, radically and dramatically worse. It's a very sad thing, very sad thing. But hey, you have to be real about it. It's pure ego that says we can help. We can try, but we cannot be sure. Yes, cannot be sure. That's where this philosophy of sharing, another philosophy, right? We mentioned philosophy of takeaway, philosophy of opposite, we've got philosophy of sharing as a sub-philosophy. This philosophy of sharing is crucially important, especially when it comes to help. You can't help directly because you don't know. And if you think you know, you're being arrogant. You may help. It's possible. You get lucky. Yeah. But you cannot know for sure. And if you insist that it will be helpful, then you're being arrogant. Right? So when we do this, then all we can do is share and share options. Don't just share one idea that you think or one solution or one. No, share as many as possible. Give people options. Give them choices. Then you are raising the chances, the odds that you are actually being helpful. Attunement, Norma, I went into attunement yesterday. Attunement is connectivity to the universe, to the flow of things in the world around us, which is life, right? The movement of life, right? It's not static. Life is not static. The world, everything that's going on around us is constant, continual movement and change, right? No matter how much it may seem to be the same, it's not, right? It's always something going on. And attunement is tapping into the energies, the intents of the universe, right? Like when a surfer, right? They go outside and they go beyond the breakers and then they sit there and you see them. They'll paddle a little bit left and they'll paddle a little bit right. What are they doing? They attuning to the waves because the waves don't always break in exactly the same place because they're not always the same size. They don't always come the same distance apart and so on, right? So there's a lot of variation. So they attune and those waves are energy, right? That's it. Waves are energy, very literally. right? So they're attuning to be able to catch the wave, to, in other words, align with the energy. So first you attune to put yourself in the spot to be able to align with the energy. Riding the wave is aligning with the energy. This is what we need to do in life as well, right? There's all these energies that are around us, right? There's constantly waves all around us. If we don't attune to those waves, well, you can get dumped by the wave or miss the wave entirely and not be able to catch it, right? So attunement is being able to align with the energies of life. Yeah, it's a very powerful thing to do. And because those energies are morenesses, right? I mean, for the surfer, they can't surf without the wave, can't do it, right? You need that energy to be able to surf. So that energy, in many instances in life in general, we need these energies, life energies, which come in a wide variety of forms. We need them in order to be able to do things. Yeah, surfing just now, one example. But in life, it's a zillion different things. There's a whole zillion ways of surfing, right? Or zillion variations of the equivalent of surfing. But we need that energy from the universe in order to do much. Yeah. So when we are in attunement, living in attunement, we are actively positioning ourselves to be in the best position to catch those energy waves and ride them, surf them, use them. Yeah? And this is an incredible boon in life. It's a massive bonus, right? Just fantastic. Oh, my head is getting hot now. I was outside earlier, and that's why I got the scarf and the beanie on. But now, when I'm inside here, I'm getting hot. All right, there we go. There we go. I was saying I was outside, and that's why I had to be cold. It's cold outside. It's warm in here. Yes, Norma, it is in tune, but to be in tune and to harmonize means you've got to play your instrument. And you need to feel the sounds around you in order to be in tune, right? You've got to hear that, which is the equivalent of catching the energy wave, right? Same thing. See, that's energy coming at you, and you in the orchestra. You're in a position to actually hear it. You can't really be in tune with the orchestra if you're not there with the orchestra. You're somewhere else, right? If you can't hear the orchestra, you can't be in tune with it. So you have to position yourself to actually be there. But the surfing analogies is probably a better analogy because this implies that you need to make that effort to catch those energy waves. And life has wonderful energy waves all around it that contain incredible, fantastic bonuses, right? And when we catch those, it gives us a way of behaving that we may not have even considered before because each wave has its own logic to it and own appropriateness to riding that wave, each energy that comes. So we get to do things that we never imagined before. And those energies contain gifts of awareness, gifts of understanding, gifts of moreness, gifts of doing, gifts of being. Yeah. So yes, to be in attunement is to utilize energy. And of course, this goes with Way-of-Impeccability, best use of energy. Not only our own energy, but also the energy of life, those waves. Right? Use them, use them. Yeah. Otherwise, you could just be out there, and you see the waves. Are you standing on the shore and you don't do anything with them? But or you're on the ocean and the waves just come and you bob up and down, and again you don't do anything with them, right? That's or you get sometimes the wave will pick you up and dump you down because you're in the wrong spot, right? This is when life isn't so good for us. Yeah? So we need to be attentive to the energies of life, right? This is yes, it's divine energy, but again, Anoma, if we don't attune, it's like the surfer. You could call those waves divine energy. Why not? Yeah. But if the surfer doesn't position themselves, they're not going to catch the wave because the wave is only catchable in a certain place, right? And if you're not there, well, you could, but it takes a lot of effort to catch the wave otherwise, right? So this is to make it easier for you to catch the wave, or to make it possible at all to catch the wave, right? So we need to make that effort to attune to the waves and the energy. Yeah, it's very, 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 very important. Ah, good,
Mhm.
good. Beena's back. Ah, Beena, I, I
Yes.
was I was utilizing the surfing analogy because that
Mhm.
is the best analogy for attunement. Yes, to understand
Yes.
what is attunement. Norma asked what is attunement. Attunement is positioning yourself to be able to utilize the energies of life. And they come in many different waves, like a literal wave that a surfer surfs. It's energy, it's just pure energy, right? And that's energy making the water move that way, right? And they're utilizing that energy and they're surfing it. Now, in life, of course, you don't just surf, for the joy and the fun of it. These waves have purpose and point to them. There's an appropriateness. Each wave has its own logic and sensibility and sobriety to it, right? But if you don't position yourself, you're not going to be able to even notice those waves, right? You won't even see them. So we need to be paying attention and we need to position ourselves to be able to catch the waves, to utilize them to get moreness from them, right? This is what attunement is. Attunement is positioning to be in the best position to be able to utilize the energies of life. And those energies are incredible gifts. Yes. They make your life easier. They give you moreness. They give you answers, solutions, joy, all of it, right? Somebody asked me why I love them. Well, they came into my life as an energy wave. Yes. And I paid attention to the hints and clues that the universe gave me, and the universe said, hey, 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 here's something coming your way. Pay attention. And I did. And through that, paying attention, it caused me to position myself and catch the wave of loving them. That's it. See? And I get the joy of love, get the joy of loving somebody. There's no reason necessarily that I have to do it. No, I did it because I paid attention to the universe and I'm listening to the energies and saying, well, here's a gift. You can utilize it or not. I did utilize it and I'm getting the value out of the gift. You don't need a reason to love. Love is its own reason, right? You love just because it's
No,
magical,
a
it's
very, very
joyful.
strong reason for that. Very strong reason.
Right. My reason is attunement, I guess. Yeah. But when
Also
you
like
live with attunement, there's always a moreness to it. And
yeah.
so often, when you part of attunement, and this is the point that I made to Beena yesterday, her disappointment was because she had lack of trust in the universe.
A lot of things. A
But
lot
that
of
was the
things.
core point, right? Because we do our best when we've been impeccable. And we know we've been impeccable. And I'm confident that in other words, my conscience is clear. Could I have done anything different? No, I couldn't, right?
Yeah.
At the time, I did everything I knew to do and could do. That's it, right? So I couldn't do anything different, right?
Yeah.
One moment, one moment. I'm getting very hot
Okay.
in my heated vest here, Peanuts. Really hot.
Okay. I just want to say that okay, love has a very, very loving someone is has a very, very strong, very profound reason. First,
Exactly,
it's a
exactly. It's
proof
nice.
that yes, someone has the ability to love. First thing, that is
Exactly,
the foremost thing.
exactly,
That okay, if you have this thing inside, it's like a string of fresh water there. It is there. It is just there. You cannot hold it. You cannot just shut it down. Of course it
exactly,
is going to
exactly.
come from
It just
any other
comes. It just
way or
comes.
source. It is going to come. It is
Yeah,
there. First thing, we need to understand that the
yeah,
person who is loving, they have this ability and
yeah.
capability to love. First thing, that is, I think that this
And
is the
love is
biggest
a
secret.
skill,
Yes, you polished it
and
actually.
I
And
possess the skill.
okay, and the second thing for me, second
So
reason,
I love because I can, Norma.
of course,
I'm
of course.
able to.
Yes. And the second reason for me is that love, again, I will say it's a very selfish business. If I
Exactly,
love something or
exactly.
someone, it gives me joy. It has nothing to do with that
Right,
person.
right, right.
Okay. It just gives me joy. So I'm going to when I realize that, when I accept that it is about, it's a very selfish thing, it's a very selfish gesture, it's all about myself, then It actually just eliminate all the expectations, all the shirts, no nonsense that okay, this person has to be this, behave in certain way, looks in certain way, do something for me, and nothing at all. It's a selfish business. I am doing because I like to, because I can, because I want to. That's it. The other person, yes, we're sorry to say, but the other person, it's just a extra role, extra character in this movie.
Right, right,
I'm the
right.
protagonist of my movie. I am the one.
Exactly,
I love
exactly.
this. I want to love. I want to.
Yeah.
I can love.
Love gives me
Something wants.
benefit. Why would I not love? When the opportunity is there to love, why would I not love? And again, it's attunement, right? Now, part of attunement is trust, capital T trust, which means, first of all, I've been impeccable. Right? I'm not doing things for nonsense reasons. I'm not doing it for ego reasons or greed or, power, dominance, any of those crappy reasons. That's number one in the impeccability. My motivation is clarity of intent, in other words. My intent is pure. Yes? Now,
Yes.
when you've been impeccable and you're doing things for impeccable reasons, right? When attunement says do something, I have to trust that it is good and makes sense, even though I cannot see why. This is absolutely critical. It's part of attunement to have that capital T trust, to trust that the universe is being sensible even though I can't see it. I have to set aside my ego, which says, I know what's going on. I don't have a clue what's going on. Come on, I don't know how the world works. I think I do, but I don't really know. But attunement does. So I have to trust. So I do, regardless of being able to see the reasons. In other words, I can act without agenda. This is a profound, profound, profound skill, very difficult to acquire because we are so taught and caught up in our reasons, our logic, our sensibility, and we can't do things if we can't see a reason for it. I talked about that Holes, the movie or the story, all right, where this warden of the prison made the prisoners dig these holes for no reason at all, and it was torture for them, right? Their brains collapsed, they imploded, they felt wasted and useful. It was torture for them to dig holes that served no purpose. But attunement, you're often asked to dig those holes. Now, of course, there is a reason for it from attunement, but you don't necessarily get to see it. Maybe that, this is a long-term plan and it's going to come after you're dead and gone, and then they're going to use those holes. But I just have to trust. Now, in my life, I have acted according to attunement because I figured this out way back when, right? I changed my whole life to live in accordance with attunement, right? To live in tune and in harmony with the universe, which meant that I acted even though I couldn't see the reason and the logic. Yes, but I acted, trusting that there is a reason and a logic. Now, sometimes, or not always, have I come to see that reason and the logic. However, many, many times, much later, I see now why I had to do that. Oh, man, wow, that's incredible. That's fantastic. Wow, that's magical. This is profound. Holy moly, right? I have seen many, 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 many times things that I did and had no clue why I was doing it. Later, I saw the profound reasons. Now, after a while of seeing those profound reasons, it enabled me to see at the time to be able to figure out likely why it is, right? So now when I get asked, I could probably tell you, likely it's a good reason for this and this and this and this, and I have a high probability of being accurate because I've got experience that I'm pulled from, and I made a point of remembering those things and staying with it and not letting it go to look for that resolution as to why, right? Even though it sometimes took years or decades, right? So I really, it's a long-term study that's yielded incredible benefits. But now my trust, I still have to trust because I still like, like, why am I being asked to do this? I got no clue. But at least I can guess. I can imagine why. And this is a profound assistance. But in the beginning, when you're starting off with attunement, You have to trust blindly and just pay attention and wait and see. It will come much later. But this is the key, though. The key, though, is not to trust without impeccability, because that becomes hope and just wishful thinking. That's just foolishness. That's going to get you into trouble. No, no. I'm doing so because I don't really have any other better option. I know I don't know how to act in a situation. And instead of trusting my limited ideas of how I should act, supposed to act, what I think is good, I say, no, I know I don't know enough here. So I'm going to look at attunement. Yes. So it is being able to bypass your ego. And that's a skill too that we can learn. It's not impossible to do. You can learn it. It's just a skill like any other. It just takes practice, right? All these things, they just take practice. I'm not anything special. All I am is a bit diligent when it comes to practicing and applying these things. I don't just believe something and see it and recognize its value. In other words, I don't stop at realization. I go further. I have to apply it and put it into action. Only then is it real. A realization means nothing whatsoever if it's not applied. Right? They come and they go all the time. But when you apply it and apply it consistently, in other words, capital P, practice it until it's a part of you, it becomes intrinsic, and then it becomes a skill. Then you can say, okay, I've acquired the skill, like the skill to love, the skill to trust, the skill to be impeccable, right? The skill to set aside your ego. All skills just can be learned, but it takes practice and application. I spent my whole life applying. Yes, you can call me a philosopher, but philosophers typically and generally aren't known for their application. They're known for theorizing. Not me. I'm a practical philosopher. All that theorizing means nothing if you don't apply it and practice it. Capital P, practice, is a primary conception in Way of Impeccability in your Dictionary of Power. Yeah. Why? Because capital P, practice, means you're doing it over and over and over until it's incorporated into your body, until it's innate, until it's automatic, that you can do it like riding a bicycle. You get on and you ride, right? You need to have that ability, that it's so easy, it's fluid, it's innate, right? It becomes a default, but not a default habit, which is mindless. No, a default that's done deliberately. This is very profound, right? So I don't just love automatically. No, I love deliberately because I've practiced being deliberate. So all of these things, though, I'm getting back to attunement and trust, that we need to be able to trust in the universe. And if we don't, then I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. If you don't learn to be able to trust the universe, then you're just kind of lost. And you're lost in your own ego, in your own bubble, and you think you know better than the universe, etc., etc. It's like, seriously, does this work for you? You may be right, but let me ask you, is it actually working? Yeah. Well, nobody will tell you yes. When they trust their own sensibility, it works brilliantly all the time. But when I've trusted the universe, it's always worked brilliantly. Even though I couldn't see it at the time, later I did. Now, of course, initially, this is quite a leap of faith. But that leap of faith was based on the certainty that I know I don't know enough. That's a fact. Right? So I have a choice. I can act on my flawed knowledge, which is limited, or I can take a chance. Well, I know that what I'm thinking is likely to be wrong. So where's the risk here? Yeah, not much of a risk for me. And it's turned out brilliantly. I have a fantastic life full of marvelous stuff, right? Brilliant adventures and all sorts of brilliant learning. If you look at all my adventures in life, everything was about a particular understanding and an awareness that I needed to learn. And I was put in these situations where I got to not only learn new things, but I got to practice and apply what I had already figured out for myself. Beena and I are reading Musashi's Book of Five Rings. Yeah. And by the way, Beena, it really, I think the translation is just Book of Five Rings. Not a book or the book, just Book of Five Rings. Because if you look at the Japanese, it starts off with go, which is five. Yeah.
Yes.
You see? So it's 5 ring book if you read it literally. If directly from there. Anyway, and Musashi's talking about the way of strategy. Yes. And this is something I've applied all of my life. And how is it not strategic to be able to have something that is more than you? My own awareness is too limited to really put much trust and faith into it. I know this. I know this as for a fact. So the strategy says you can't trust this, you trust the alternative. And as such, it's been profoundly valuable to me, profoundly valuable. Deep strategy. Norma says, just imagine the joy in loving all because it's just natural. Exactly. Exactly, Norma. This is for me how love is. It's just part of life. It's a duh. How can you not love? It's a duh to love. Love has been made through narcissists and this superiority paradigm, right? They want love to be something special and profound. And that's why you have to love me because I'm special. I'm the narcissist. I'm the best, blah, 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 blah. It's nonsense. Love everything. Love everybody. Love because you want to. Love because you can. Love because it's natural and simple. It's innate to love. It's not something that has to be all of this other special, right? And I love because it's appropriate. The universe brings somebody into my life and says, "Here you go. You know, this person's in your life. How can you not love them? It's natural. You love them because that's well, duh, right? Natural. Exactly, exactly. Of course, the universe doesn't bring everybody into my life. It brings people into my life, but it doesn't always bring it in such a way where loving in a real, deeper love point is more appropriate, right? So it's all about appropriateness. You don't love everybody. I mean, I love everybody in a general way, but not in a specific way, because I don't have that connectivity to them. I don't have that moreness connectivity, right? So it's just about appropriateness, really, at the end of the day. And it's appropriate to love when the situation warrants it and calls for it. It's very simple. It's a beautiful, magical thing. It's simple, but that's the point. See, long ago, I understood this. I said, that one of the most profound things we can do is learn to see the sublime in the mundane. We've been taught to look for the sublime, and the sublime is something special and wonderful. Nowhere, nowhere have you ever seen anybody say or push this concept, this idea that we need to learn to find the sublime in the mundane. By me saying we need to find the sublime in the mundane as a philosophical concept, I am also saying the sublime exists in the mundane. Because if I'm saying find it, by implication, it exists. Yeah. But this our language says the mundane. If it's mundane, well, by implication, it has no sublimeness to it. But that's not true. There is plenty sublime in the mundane. All of it. Sublime is everywhere. There's no real difference. Sublime, mundane, same thing. Yes. But we need to train ourselves to undo our education, our conditioning, our distortion, which says, oh, mundane and sublime are separate. No, they're not. So this is when we learn to understand this, our life changes, because now suddenly we're in a completely different world and paradigm to the one we've been taught. Suddenly we have sublime everywhere, sublimity, abundance of it. We have moreness all around us. We live in a magical world, not the world we were taught to live in. The world we were taught to live in, everything is scarce by default. That's why the superiority exists, because of fighting over scarcity. But it's a psychology that's sadly out of date and inappropriate. That does not exist there. You need to update. You need to update. Philosophy of opposite. Just do the opposite of whatever culture tells you, and you're going to be really well on your way. Nietzsche said that too, by the way. When I read that, I was like, oh, Nietzsche, oh, you agree with me? Thank you. I was very amused. Nietzsche said a lot of things that are like, hey, I remember the first time this happened. I had been thinking about something and I figured it out or thought it through to the end, as was my habit. And it came in a particular sentence structure, in particular words. And I read those exact words. in the translation of Nietzsche. I'm like, hey, how do you steal my thoughts? I was like a bit freaked out by it because it was so exact. But it's a duh. When you think things through to the end, you're gonna arrive at the same thought, same conclusion. It can't be any other way. All right. Any questions? Any comments, Beena, Norma? I want to continue with the story.
Oh, yes, please continue.
Okay. And then that makes sense about trust, right? That our
Yes.
trust has to be based on impeccability. And when we do things and they don't work out the way we expect, like in this case with Beena helping this person, yes, and they sort of kind of wasted the help and they weren't impeccable, and you know there's disappointment in their lack of impeccability. But we have to trust the universe that things are going to work out right. And when people aren't impeccable, well, then they're going to learn in a not so nice way. The universe will provide that necessariness for them there. We don't know the details of their situation that caused this, but we have to trust that it's all good. When we insist on trusting that it's all good, even though it's not necessarily nice for us, then it shifts everything. It shifts everything. But this is too, if you have any kind of religious perspective, then I'll scold you to say, oh, ye of little faith. How do you not trust your your deity? Whoever, whatever you may call that, in the end, they're all the same. It's all the same thing, right? They're all energy. They're all intent. Yes. When you don't
Yes.
trust that, then how do you not trust the goodness of that energy that is God or Allah or Buddha or Krishna or Brahma or whatever? Right? That's it. You have to trust that. You have to trust it implicitly. If you don't, then you're lost. Then you're in a situation where you don't believe that the overallness of life is good. Uh, I'm just, I don't know what to say to you. Okay, that's, it's a philosophy that may be valid, but it doesn't bring you any value. This particular point of view brings tremendous value because it proves itself. When we trust in the goodness, when we trust in the moreness, and that there is a sensibility and a sobriety and a marvelousness and a perfection and an awesomeness to everything, we start to see it. Yeah, it's self-proven. Self-proven. It's very powerful. Very powerful. We live in a fantastic world. So trust is very essential. Trust based on impeccability. Right? You can't just trust and not do anything and not do what you need to do and what's right to do and make the efforts and be diligent and thorough and scrupulous,
Yes.
etc. No, you have to trust has to be based on impeccability. Right? Impeccability leads to trust. All right. Let's continue. So we were there where Haile is sharing that uh, that she overheard Biella telling a story, repeating what she had said to Illumina a long time ago, in a circumstance where they didn't have any resources, particularly Illumina, and she had to rely on assistance from others. And so there's a very particular comment or explanation or story that Biella is sharing with the aspirants. And Haile overheard this, right? It's a very precise, very specific comment there. It's actually very interesting from a writing point of view because the writing here, it's layered nuance, right? That that you have Haile coming out of this stuff and sort of behaving a bit oddly and strangely, and there'll be more of an explanation as to why this is later. But she overhears a snippet that is, a very nuanced, very particular snippet, but it has a profound effect on her, right? So where we left off here, we say, right, the new nobility easily had the means to finance all aspirants, but being without resources was a fundamental part of becoming a new noble. Knowing how to manage and thrive in adverse circumstances was imperative. The insight into the psychology needed invaluable. Right? And this is Beena. You could say knowing how to manage and thrive in adverse circumstances is exactly what was called upon with you with dealing with this particular person, right? Right?
Hmm.
You helped, you assisted, but then things were adverse. It's not exactly because it wasn't kind of against you, but it caused a bit of problems and hassle. Not major, but nonetheless.
It it
But
it could it could cause me a problem
right,
if I would not be in a situation where other people are impeccable.
exactly,
Then
exactly. Now,
it would be a big problem for me.
precisely. But knowing how to thrive and manage this situation, you are learning because you're learning about trust and attunement and setting aside your ego, right? So now you've acquired a whole host of tools in order to deal with this particular adverse circumstance. Yes?
Yes.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And the insight into the psychology needed, the insight into your psychology that's needed, not the other person's psychology, right? Right? Your psychology
Yes.
is invaluable, right? Because now you understand a whole lot of things about yourself. That's what you were sharing with me, your takeaway. And what you said earlier, that you realized that you were being inadvertently arrogant. Yes, you had expectations, etc. Right? All that's part of your psychology. Fantastic stuff. All right. Hayla continues. Actually, I think you read something, please. I love it when you read, and I like the opportunity that you read for you to practice. It's good to practice our reading.
Difficult task for me. Okay.
Not really, not really. I don't think it's that difficult.
Okay. Hella continued. I totally felt so much of this. Feeling identity less. Wow. Okay. This is a very interesting term. Feeling identity less unless you can boil yourself down. The inability to trust you'll know how to
Oh, you lost the
handle.
sentence there. You missed the line.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. You can boil yourself down
No, no, no. Hold on,
into
hold on, hold on. You got to read the whole sentence.
okay.
I
Okay.
totally felt so
I
much of
totally
this.
felt so much of this. Feeling identity less unless you can boil yourself down into a one sentence speech.
Okay, let's stop right there.
The
That's a
inability.
very, very profound thing that Hayla says. She's by
Yes.
implication saying she has lived or right in the world that she is was living in. The psychology, the dominant perception, the should is that you need to be able to boil yourself down into a one sentence pitch, an elevator pitch, in other words, right? And this is sadly in our culture. I mean, the culture Hale is talking about is our culture, the superiority paradigm culture. When you look around, especially in if you're working in that, this is an expectation that you must be able to identify who you are in a one sentence pitch, she says. Not just that you must be able to boil yourself down in one sentence. No, but a one sentence pitch. A pitch is when you're selling something, right? So there's an expectation not only that you must be able to have this very tight, concise definition, which is, of course, going to be very limiting, but also that you have to put it out there as a sell, as a pitch. Yeah. I mean, what is a pitch man? A pitch man for a company, right? They promote, they sell the company, they say wonderful things about the company, right? So a pitch is a sell, it's a promotion. And this is the expectation. So in that one sentence there, Haile is saying something, making a very deep observation about the defaults in our society, right? And to go on, she says, the inability to trust you'll know how to handle future issues as they arise. This was something that was biting. All right, you read on, please, Bina. Bina, where'd you go? You muted, Bina, you muted, you muted.
Sorry. I was reading and I was on mute. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
The inability to trust you know how to handle future issues as they arise. Wow, the inability to trust you'll know how to handle future issues as they arise. So for me, it just results in anxiety and a sort of gasping. Need to try to control uncontrollable stuff rather than
Grasping,
hanging around
not
toxic people.
gasping, right? Grasping need,
Grasping,
grasping,
yes,
grasping need.
yes,
Yeah.
grasping.
Let's stop
Uncontrollable
there,
stuff.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. Again, she's making this comment, right? So what she's saying is that all of this has resulted in an inability to trust you now to handle future issues as you arise. That's why the comment or the story, the explanation, the sharing, it was a sharing. Biella was sharing with the aspirants that psychology is she's sharing a tool and a mechanism which allows you to have the ability to trust that you'll know how to handle future issues as they arrive. When you've learned to deal with adverse circumstances without resources, you have to trust yourself, correct? You can't rely on your resources, only yourself. And when you discover that, well, you can deal with stuff, you can handle it, now you start to have some sort of measure of trust in yourself. But our society actually pushes this vibe, and the way Haile expresses it here is a bit nebulous, right? We get this continual push on us that you cannot trust yourself, right, to deal with future. You don't know anything. You're useless. You're hopeless. You don't know what's going on. You're nothing, right? So we get taught to not trust our ability to handle future issues as they arise, because this makes you dependent on those that are in charge. Yeah. If you're in charge and you're the boss, your value comes from you being the one to now tell people and show them how to handle issues as they arrive. But if all of you could do it on your own, well, what do you need me for? See? So the insecurity, of course, there's other reasons to be a leader, but the insecurity of the BMNs that are typically in charge of our culture leads to this point here, right? So it's a very deep point that she's making, yes, even though she's not making it very clearly, right? So so she says, for me, though, it just results in anxiety and a sort of grasping need to try to control uncontrollable stuff rather than hanging around toxic people. So she's understood that hanging around toxic people isn't good. But even though she doesn't do that, she still has this anxiety and a grasping need to try and control uncontrollable stuff. It's exactly what anxiety and worry is the desire to control what's uncontrollable, right? So her expression is very rough here. That's why we have to kind of clean it up a little bit, right? But she's basically explaining the superiority paradigm, even though she's not aware of it in those terms, right? And it's very powerful, right? All right, keep going from here, please, Beena.
And the feeling as though my worth is tied up in how much stuff I got done today. Wow, okay. Or how much credit I made. I don't judge
Money, right?
anyone else too
This
easily.
is a sorry, Beena, to interrupt again. Just read it, with leave a bit of space there because we're going to go with the sentence by sentence here, right? Again,
Okay.
right? This is an indictment of the superiority paradigm culture, right? That she's come to realize and she's come to be aware that she's uncomfortable with this understanding that her worth is tied up with how much she got done or how much money she made. In other words, she's saying this is nonsense, bollocks, as Norma might say. I don't know. I don't know if you use that expression bollocks, but I hear it from a lot of English or British people, right? In other words, extreme nonsense. Yeah? It's a very powerful comment that she's becoming aware of this, and and Biella's explanation to Illumina has brought all this up because Biella was specifically saying to Illumina in that to the aspirants, your worth does not come from how much you do; it comes from who you are. It's not externally determined; it's internally determined. Doesn't matter how much money you make. Illumina had much worth in that situation, and she wasn't making any money, right? And Biella was pointing out to her at that time how much worth she had, right? So very powerful effect on Hela, right? All right, please continue, Beena.
Yes, I don't judge anyone else through these filters, yet I judge myself through them.
Very
My
important,
other is always
very
trying
important.
to assure me there is more to my work than whether or not I got my to-do list done. But I can't, okay, but I can't seem to internalize it.
All right, stop there, stop there. Very important here. All right, Norma, then I shouldn't say it. Is that what you're saying? Is it a bad word to say? I thought it was just, part of the language. I didn't realize it was. No, no, no. I won't say it. I was just using it for fun and just because it seemed appropriate. I can say nonsense or rubbish instead. All right, but let's get back to Haile here, right? He says something very profound. I don't judge anyone else through these filters, yet I judge myself through them. That's somewhat unusual there. She's not aware that it's unusual, but typically people judge themselves through the same things they judge others by. Or when they judge others, they really are judging themselves and they're not aware that they're judging themselves, right? But she is aware that this is applying to herself and only, right? My other is always trying to assure me there's more to my work. Now, that's very important what she says there, my other, right? She's saying she's now by implication saying she's not just one person, right? I is more than one, right? And we have a mourner self and we have a regular self, and there's sometimes more than just two. It can be a whole bunch of selves. But she's just saying this, right? He's always trying to assure me there's more to my work than whether or not I get my to-do list done, but I just can't seem to internalize it. That is a profound point here. It's the crux of the issue. And here we come back to the philosophy of appropriateness, which is also the philosophy of application. Yes, that's why it's called the A plus philosophy. There's all these A words: philosophy of awareness, attunement, but particularly it is a practical philosophy, application. She cannot internalize it because she's not making that effort to apply these understandings in a way that leads to change and leads to her internal being, her internal understanding change. That only is going to come through capital P practice, which is deliberately doing the thing until you've incorporated, internalized it, made it innate. Yes? So this is a very, very, very powerful point, and it's the problem. The deeper problem for Haila is that she understands the problem, but she cannot internalize it. So she believes it, she knows it, but it's not real for her beliefs. Her realizations are not real because they haven't been translated into a way of being. And to make it a way of being, all these understandings and awarenesses that she has, it needs constant application to the point of it becoming innate, incorporated, internalized, default. Yeah? Please continue, Beena. Please continue.
So you got that word wrong?
So it's a swear word. All right, I didn't realize it was considered a swear word. I just thought it was just a synonym, for nonsense and rubbish.
Okay.
All right, sorry,
Anyway,
Norma.
anyway, it just seems so synchronistic to be here. When I heard that story, she looked intensely at them and said, "Peace, friends." Hera made a hand sign for peace, and okay, wow,
That's the sign. That's the sign she's making.
okay. Peace and friendship customary on her world. Biella and Ursula responded in kind. Peace, friend, they said in unison. Unison? What's the pronunciation
Unison.
for that?
Yeah,
Yes,
unison.
unison.
Yeah,
Displaying the hand sign by joining the middle and ring fingers. Okay.
spreading the others out, palm out. See, like this, right? So
No,
this
okay.
is on Hailer's world. This is a very profound gesture, not easily made, right? And she's saying, peace, friend. No, it can be used casually, but when done in a particular way, it opens this up, right? There's a more to us, right? And a significant gesture remembered from the briefing because, well, Biella remembers from the briefing. Ursula, I guess Ursula might have had it too. The delegates got a briefing on what is significant important to the other delegates. And of course, Biella also got this, right? So now they remembered that this is only used if sincerely meant, implying a commitment to friendship, one taken very seriously. So on Heile's world, when you make this and you say peace friend, you are saying I would like to be a deep friend, an intimate friend, a committed friend, a friend that will be there for you when you need them, no matter what, etc. Right? So very serious friendship with this, right? So it's only used if sincerely meant, implying a commitment to friendship, one taken very seriously. Seldom offered so early in a relationship. So this is somewhat anomalous, but then Ayla is acting anomalously. Her whole situation has changed and everything is anomalous, so it makes sense. And because of Biella's gesture and Ursula connecting to that gesture and connecting also to it and also making the gesture just through her accedance to it. They both are now included, and it enables Haylett to make this gesture, right? Make this friendship gesture in response to Biella's profound gesture. Really affected her very much, right? Right. So please continue over here.
Okay. By offering and accepting, they indicated to one another uh, they were skipping past the usual preliminaries.
Mhm.
Preliminaries. Okay. The connection now, as if they had been good friends for a long time. Conversation and topics could go straight to the most relevant issues. No preambles or unnecessary details would be needed.
Isn't that just wonderful?
Yes.
To be able to
Yes.
go directly into this deep friendship. We don't have to and and what work do you do, what job, how many who cares? It's totally irrelevant. That's not what's important. What is important is what's in your heart, what's in your mind. Like this issue for Hayla, how to be real. This is the
Mm.
issue that is pressing on her. Now they can get right into this. Yes, they can just skip all of the other stuff. Fantastic, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Make sense?
Ella was delighted. Ashla no less so. Even though this turn of events also somewhat puzzling, something was still missing.
Yeah.
Hela had changed too dramatically. This is great, Hela. Hela. I look
Hey,
forward
hey,
to
like you're
more.
saying, hey,
Hela.
la.
Hela. I look forward to more interaction. I'm happy to converse anytime, Biella said somewhat formally, honoring the friendship gesture, a big deal to her, and also she assumed to Hela.
Now look there. Look at Biala's sophistication. I look
Mm,
forward to more interaction, taking the pressure off interacting now. I'm
mm,
happy to converse anytime. Again, removing any pressure for Haila to share and converse and share moreness now. And also opening the door, making it clear you can come and talk anytime. Very subtle, but very sophisticated, very considerate. Yes?
yes.
Beautiful,
I
Biela,
too
beautiful.
extend I too extend my heart and my goodwill, my ear and my time, Ashla said
Let
with
me read
feeling.
that again. Let me read that again. I too extend my heart and my goodwill, my ear and my time, Ursula said with feeling. Ayla had touched 13. Right? So when you read that with feeling, I too extend my heart and my goodwill, my ear and my time. What a beautiful thing to say to somebody, right? I extend my heart and my goodwill, my ear and my time. You know this to be true in our relationship, right, Veena? Norma?
Oh,
Norma, you
yes.
have my heart and my goodwill. You have my ear and you have my time. Very profound
Okay.
part of friendship.
Yes. Ashla said with feeling. Hela had touched her deeply. Biella said somewhat to herself. I had another longer comment to what you said, but it's not with me anymore. Then to Hela, going right back to the heart of what Hela had said. I was wondering about past events which were agonized over in this manner and how exactly they transpired. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
different way of saying things, yes.
Yes, but it's on purpose. Again, Biella's sophistication. She's saying things in a way that doesn't make a statement, doesn't define things. It leaves it very open. Yes. But at the same time, she's asking a question. Yes. But she's asking a question in such a way that it gives Haila maximum options of response. Remember what I was saying earlier? When we're looking to be of assistance, not help, of assistance, the best thing we can do, really the only thing we can do, is share options. So in this statement, this question, she's really sharing options, opening up the door for Haila to respond in whichever way is appropriate. Right? I
Yes.
mean, the first part is really a statement. I was wondering about past events which were agonized over in this manner and how exactly they transpired. Yes, it's a question, but it's also a statement of what Biella is wondering about. Haila
Mm.
can respond to that or not. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic,
I'm really,
beautiful consideration, and this is nobility. Doing more, right? That deep consideration, capital C consideration. See it right there. The beauty of it, yeah.
yes.
Pleasure, Norma. Pleasure, Norma. Pleasure.
I'm really not sure where it comes from, Hela said. I do a lot of soul searching and introspective thinking, so it's unusual for me to truly have no idea where one of my issues comes from. I kind of feel like I'm not fulfilling my humanness if I'm not actively working on emotional and spiritual growth. That is one
Ah,
of my biggest hurdles to being able to live in the moment.
right. Let's just go into this here, right? Here, Haila is articulating a should from society. I feel like I'm not fulfilling my humanness if I'm not actively working on emotional and spiritual growth. In other words, she's saying there's this pressure in the typical world that says you must be working on your emotional or spiritual growth to fulfill your humanness. It's like an either or thing. And it's of course it's an artificial pressure, right? It's just somebody's idea that said should, supposed to. Nice articulation there of an inappropriate should. It's not necessarily so, right? That she's made to feel less than because she's not fulfilling somebody, whoever somebody is, somebody's idea of should behavior. Nonsense, right? Rubbish. Right? This is one of my biggest hurdles, being able to live in the moment. The should is putting a big pressure on her, right? Whereas living in the moment is really all about appropriateness, is it not? And that should there says that you cannot just be appropriate. You should be doing this, you should be doing that. Shoulds completely inhibit appropriateness because they apply in specific circumstances, not always. Appropriateness is always appropriate. The only thing that is. Yeah? So that's why shoulds are so limiting because they absolutely constrain and limit and inhibit appropriateness. Right? And it's sadly this is leveraging inappropriately, subverting Haila, using her goodness against her. Right? She should says you if you should do it, then that's what it means to be good. Right? So she thinks this is what it means to be good. The should here, but it messes her up, and she's not aware that shoulds, for the most part, are just nonsense and inappropriate. They may apply in particular circumstances, but not always. But should implies that it's always, and it leads to this gross stress and inappropriateness, and it's really sad and people's lives are made very miserable because of their goodness and trying to live up to shoulds. Very sad. Sad situation. We need to be aware of that. That's why it's the philosophy of appropriateness, right? Very, very powerful to break free. When you start to focus on being appropriate, then you can't say, well, the should doesn't apply in the situation, so I can't do it. And then you start to learn to be appropriate and you unhook from should, because shoulds only apply in very limited. All right. This is one of my biggest hurdles to being able to live in the moment. Please continue.
The taking idea that whatever I'm doing, I should be doing something else.
There we go.
Or
See,
whatever I did
she
do.
articulates it here, right? Sorry, Beena, to
Yes.
interrupt you again.
No, no,
Right?
no, no.
Right. I mean, you can just basically pause after the sentences there to give me something, space. And if I don't jump in, then good. Because I'm likely going to be jumping in here. Here she emphasizes should. By the way, this is not conversation that I've written. This is coming from a real person sharing their real issues. This is word for word what they say, right? So, yeah, just by the way, yeah, very real stuff here. Now I put it into the, enfolded it into the story and created it in a different circumstance. But the issues are very real to this person whom Maila is based on, right? This is them expressing this realness of it, right? And this negativity of should, right? Now, of course, she's not fully, clear about her expression here, but we're getting there, right?
Yes.
Okay, please continue. I should be
Or
doing
that
something
whatever
else.
I did do, I could have done it a bit better. I don't know if it's some of my words, neurotic, busyness, ethic, or what, but it's so contrary to the way I actually view the world and how people should be living life.
Right. Now we see
Beyond,
how should comes in here. And
yes,
even though she's expressing should, and saying it's negative, she's not
yes,
understanding the philosophy of should, which
yes,
is the philosophy of opposite. Whenever you hear should, do the opposite. If she did the opposite here, pretty much, or not exactly opposite, but, opposite as a concept of more or less, in the same way colors are opposite to black and white. When you understand
mm,
opposite in that way, you say, oh, whenever I see should, I'm gonna look for something else to do, kind of, and then as kind of as far away from it as possible, and I route around there, and then I'm gonna find the sense there. Right? And that she would if she did that. Very powerful. It's very powerful stuff. This is really powerful, powerful stuff. That's why I included it in here, right?
yes. Biella is appreciative of Hela's frank, informal tone. Jump straight into the topic of on her heart. Biella as keen as Ursula to hear the full story. Hela had dark white eyes. Her features portrayed fun lying just beneath the surface, contrasting delightfully with her earnest, insightful eyes. Wow, wow. I must read this again. It's like, okay, it is too many things in just about eyes. Like, okay. Hela had dark wide eyes. Her features portrayed fun lying just beneath the surface, contrasting delightfully with her earnest, insightful eyes. Oh, what a beautiful way of describing someone's.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I might
In
as
her
well be
mouth.
saying this about Beena.
Ah, come on. Like, okay. In her
Beena,
mouth.
Beena has dark, wide eyes. Her features
Oh,
portray fun
yes.
lying just beneath the surface, contrasting delightfully with her earnest, insightful eyes. That absolutely applies to Beena. No?
Oh,
You don't think it
okay. But
applies to Beena?
okay, it can apply to okay. Norma doesn't have the dark eyes, of course, but yes,
Yeah. Can apply to Norma too. Exactly.
yes.
But I know that you have dark wide eyes, so
Oh,
particularly
yes.
now,
Oh,
now
yes.
this was written. I don't know what the person that I was talking to. I have no idea what they look like,
Oh,
right? So
yes. Yes.
this is Hayla. I'm
But
making this for the
whoever.
Hayla, the
Okay.
character, right? But
Okay.
it's long before I knew
Without.
you.
Yes. Yes. For sure. But without connecting it or associating it with anyone, it's a beautiful way to describing someone. It's a beautiful way.
Exactly,
I'm just
exactly,
appreciating
exactly.
the writing
Thank
skills
you.
you have. Like
Oh,
this
thank
is
you, thank
so
you, thank
beautiful.
you.
So
This
beautiful.
next part applies to Bina also.
Yes.
In her mouth and a smile lay a mystique, okay, a knowledge of glimpses of worlds unseen, a spiritual side, plus an understanding of travail.
Tra- Travail, yeah, stress, trouble, difficult times, travail, right?
Yeah,
Now,
travail.
this understanding of travail, that part you don't quite have as much as I.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't really gone through your travails. Everybody goes through travails, but in a different way to Heila's travails. He has
Mm-hmm.
definitely gone through
Okay.
more of it than.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hela lapsed into a responsive silence. There was more, much more, but for now, she was inviting an extended response, something to tailor the rest of her story to. Ursula content to observe in solidarity.
That's a lovely
Biella let her.
sentence. Huh?
Yes,
Ursula,
yes,
content to observe in solidarity. It says so much about what Ursula is doing and her sophistication to observe in solidarity, but also content to do so. It's a fantastic sentence. Fantastic sentence. But also look here now, right? Ayla lapsed into a responsive silence. Again,
yes,
very nuanced writing here, I think, right? There was
yes,
more, much more. But for now, she was inviting an extended response, something to tailor the rest of her story to. She has a lot more to say, but she needs something to connect it to tailor it to, because it's so much, it's so all over the show. She needs to get given something that can give her a bit of a focus and pull it out of her. And this is what Biella is now going to do. She's sharing in a way specifically that will enable this response from Ayla and tailor it and focus it and pull it from her. So this is very powerful what Biella is about to do, right? Okay. Ursula content to observe in solidarity.
yes. Biella let her response flow. That's most interesting. If I can put it in terms of, for me, it's maybe an issue of appropriateness. If it's a question, it becomes, how do we know we are acting appropriately? Not in the immediate or local sense, but in the context of our entire lives, in the global and universal context. How do we know what we are doing is good as a cog in the great machine?
In that
Biela
great
maintained,
machine, in that great,
yes, in that
not
great
the,
machine.
in that, yeah. All right, let's just analyze this a little bit here, right? It's
Yes.
what I was saying earlier, that should is it limits and inhibits appropriateness. Now I didn't remember this was coming, right? I forgotten about it. But this is by bringing in this, maybe look how diplomatic Biella is here. She doesn't want to say it is so because she knows that this is something Hayla has to come to by herself, right? If I can put it in terms for me, in other words, I'm not preaching, I'm not telling you what is, right? If I can put it in terms for me, dot, dot, dot. In other words, this is my personal perspective and opinion. In my personal perspective, it's maybe an issue of appropriateness. Biella knows full well it is an issue of appropriateness, but she doesn't say it in that definitive way because she's opening the door for Haile to make the jump and the connection. Right? She's conforming to Haile's unasked, unverbalized but question nonetheless, or request, a request for something to connect to tailor her response. Right? If it's the question, in other words, if it's the question is a question of appropriateness, it becomes, how do we know we are acting appropriately? That's the key here, right? I'm going to skip the rest here. That's the core issue. And then she elaborates some, but this is now, she's defined the issue for Haila. Yeah? But she goes on a bit more. So please continue reading here, Beena.
Okay. Biela maintained Hela's informal tone. This is a very big deal to me. as I have lived my adult life making every effort to do just that. So I don't know if I have any answers, but I can say what I do. For me, it's a tuning into the greater flow of things, that which is the pattern of my life, not past, but extrapolated into the future from the present. Added to that is paying attention to my intents. Those are very connected to the process.
Right. Now look at this here. We've been talking about attunement. Yes. And right
Yes.
here, Biella is describing attunement in a very beautiful way. Right. So you asked earlier, what is attunement? Yes. So again, the modesty here. Right. So I don't know if I have any answers. She's being very, very careful to not give specific answers. She has them, but in terms of consideration, to be giving specific answers in this situation is not a service to Hayla. Hayla needs to put it together for herself, right? And complete the process that she's already started by thinking it through. So she's gotten most of it, but she didn't finish it. And because she's not finished, she's not resolved. So Biella is providing her with the ammunition, the information, the data to be able to finish it without giving that specific answer. So she's being very, very cautious here, very considerate, profoundly so. But so she says, I don't know if I have any answers, but I can say what I do. So I can tell you what's been working for me. It may or may not work for you by implication, right? For me, it is a tuning into the greater flow of things. It's exactly what attunement is, right? Tuning into the greater flow of things. That which is the pattern of my life, saying the same thing in a different way. Again, skill of communication. Don't just say it in one way. You are dealing with new concepts. By saying it in a different way, we give multiple perspectives and the person can see it from different angles and start to put together that greater whole from the different views, right? Not past, but extrapolated into the future from the present. So it's dynamic, it's real. Added to that is paying attention to my intents. Those are very connected to the process, right? So when we're paying attention to attunement, we also have to pay attention to our own intents because our intents affect our reality very profoundly, right? Especially when you have very strong intents, they change your world. That's what an intent does. That's the whole purpose of the intent is to change your reality in some way. So if you're going to be paying attention to attunement, you cannot ignore your intents because your intents are this influencing factor. Yes, fantastic stuff from Biella. Yes, absolutely fantastic stuff. You agree, Mina? At least for me, it is. I'm just thrilled to hear this. Right? And of course,
Yes.
when I write this, I get inside. Biella is her own sensibility and sobriety. It's not me expressing my thoughts through Biella. Yes, a lot of it coincides. But Biella has a different way of expressing things to me. As you know, yesterday, the whole session and earlier when we started, I went over attunement again, explaining and expressing it. I didn't say it like this. This is Biella's words, right? Biella has her own way of saying it. And that's something. It's a very profound thing in
Great.
writing to have a character
Yes.
that's so strong that they write themselves. But even though she's expressing the same underlying sentiments and philosophies, because well, they thought through to the end, there can't really be that much difference. But nonetheless, the way she does it.
Yes. I guess that this is a good point to stop right here.
No, no,
That
no, no. I want to keep going. I want to get to the end of the chapter
okay,
because
if you
we're
have
not going to do a live tomorrow and then, Sunday's the next chapter.
ah
So let's keep going. Yeah,
oh,
let's
okay,
just read
okay,
to the end.
okay. Hela was paying attention, as was Ursula also paying attention to Hela. Hela continued. From all of that, there's the tuning in to what I want to do in any given circumstance. What I want to do or feel like is intimately and inextricably connected to my inner sense of rightness. Not a moral rightness, that too, but it goes beyond that. The rightness is tied to appropriateness. It's connected to that
line we don't cross. More than that, it's the rightness of no doubts, but not the no doubts of the surface mind or the ego, but or the person of society and family and work and such. It's the rightness of the grand scheme of my life. What is good in that sense? It's the rightness of good. Biella felt around inside. When rightness and okay, when rightness and want intertwine and are the same, that's when we start to connect, to truly connect. That connection of what I want, because it's so intimately connected to my inner sense of rightness, to what is good, is astonishing. What makes it astonishing is that following what I want, no matter how much it may seem like an indulgence, following that want is the most supreme act of trust that leads to awesomeness. I've been crazy enough to follow it.
I want to read on, continue, but let me just add one point. What Biella does not say here is, right, following that one is the most supreme act of trust that leads to awesomeness because it's based on impeccability.
Yeah,
That's the
sometimes
key here.
it is good to not say that.
Of course, she's saying it, not saying it out of humility, but it's important for us to be aware of it from this our external perspective. That this is what we were saying earlier. That trust, capital T trust, has to be based on impeccability, right?
Yes. I've been crazy enough to follow it, and that meant stopping everything, going against every normal, sensible thought I had. But doing that taught me to trust my inner wanting implicitly. Implicitly.
Implicitly,
Implicitly. Okay. Say it again.
implicitly.
Implicitly.
Yeah, you had it right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Ly. Yes, okay. Trusting
Yes.
utterly, for I have come to realize there is
Hang on.
no
There's an extra I here. Implicitly. There.
Oh,
Implicit.
okay.
No, it's right. It must be
Implicit.
there. Implicitly. Yeah,
It
that's
was
right.
there.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It taught me to trust my inner wanting implicitly, trusting utterly. For I have come to realize there is no way I can want what is bad. Oh, wow.
There is
Oh,
no way I can want what is
oh.
bad. Now, I must make this a capital W1 here, right?
Yes, because this is wow. Okay. I want to read this again for myself.
Yeah.
I've been crazy enough to follow it. When that meant stopping everything, going against every normal, sensible thought I had. But doing that taught me to trust my inner wanting implicitly, trusting utterly. For I have come to realize there's no way I can want what is bad
There
or
is
indulge
no
in.
way I can want what is bad, right?
Yeah, not deep down. Wow. It always works out in most incredibly good ways when I trust myself and my wants like this.
Yeah.
Now I always only do what I feel like. I trust that my devotion to the concept of appropriateness is connected to what I feel like or what I want to do. It has come to be. That what I feel like doing is also what's appropriate, and not just what is appropriate in the immediate context, but in the overall long term context. For me, there is a sense of impeccability connected to whatever is that I'm feeling like doing, whatever
Right.
is that
Read that
I'm
again.
feeling
For
like
me,
doing.
read that again. For me,
Yes. For me, there is a sense of impeccability connected to whatever it is that I'm feeling like doing.
there's a sense of
Yeah, I
impeccability
look.
connected to whatever it is that I am feeling like doing. Yeah? So,
Yeah,
yes,
I
she
look
brings
at
in
Biella
impeccably, very
much
subtly
like
here,
that.
right? All right, carry on. Sorry,
Yes.
carry on.
Biella looked at Hela and Ursula. They were with her. Biella continued. It's a journey of trust. I preserved on faith. Oh, sorry.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
no persevered. How to say that?
Persevered.
Persevered. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I persevered on faith in the overall logic of it at first. Then over time, I saw the results come back at me. I was fortunate initially to be able to see how things worked out and came to pass. How the magic in the present connected to the intents and actions of the past. Oh, wow. How the magic in the present connected to the intents and actions of the past. Miraculous and incredible every time. Oh, wow. Yes. Yes. It's like, duh, of course, that, okay, our present
Yes.
is the consequence of our
Yes.
intents and our
But
actions
but
in the past. But
Biella is being beautifully articulate and elucidating in the most wonderful way. This
yes,
magic
how
stuff
the
from
magic in
Biella.
the present connected to the intents and actions of the past. Miraculous and incredible every time. Those wonders were and are mostly in the small, tiny little things, things only I could know are a miracle. Also, because I make the effort to pay attention.
Yeah.
Those wonders are mostly for me only. They are intimately personal, fantastic connections pertinent to me and my most inner life. But if I don't pay attention, I might not see the connections to what came before and the intent of then and how it all works out later.
And the intent of then. Yes, I need to make this a hyphenated concept here, right? The intent of then.
Yes,
It's very important conception added to your dictionary. The intent of then. Because if we forget the intent of then, we don't see how it's going to work out later. And we may cancel it with other intents. So this is where clarity of intent comes into it. Yes. But if I don't pay attention, I might not see the connections to what came before and the intent of then and how it all works out later. So you're going to miss all this magic materialization of your intents of then. We need to be paying attention not only to what's going on now, but to the intents of then. It's crucially important. Otherwise, you're going to miss the magic of it coming into your life. Those intents materializing, right?
yes,
Very powerful.
yes. Vienna felt a stirring in Hela and decided to wrap it up. There is more, much more, unhooking from the convention for one thing, but that's some of the heart of it. Too long to explain it all now. Biella laughed happily, opening the door for Hela to share in any direction she chose. Thank you, Hela.
Goes.
You inspired me to lay a part of it out again. A gift every time. Thank you. I love the alternate perspective provided. Every time is different. Not an easy matter to communicate, as there are so many factors. Biella left off, handing over to Hela.
The other left off, handing over to Hayden. So last lines have a different way of expressing them, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Gotta have that finishing. Sorry, says Norma, she must 5 minutes battery ran out, so I had to find the trainer. No worries. I don't need to use it. I just thought it's a fun word, to me it was like an easy fun word. It's like saying nonsense or BS or something. Alright, so on Sunday we'll be reading Hayla's story. This, by the way, just in terms of a beautiful expression. This is why I love Biella so much and why Biella is so deep in my heart. Look at how much she says, how potent she says it, how beautifully she says it, how considerately she says it. She's not giving a little mini seminar on appropriateness and attunement. She is doing this with the intent, the very, very clear and deliberate intent to make space for Hayla. Right? So yes, she's sharing a much profoundness, but all under this intent of making space for Hyla to share her story. She's providing openings, connections, stimuli, prompts, yes, options, choices, yes, to get Hyla to bring out the story. Because she knows, Biella is aware that when people have a big story, it's difficult to tell it sometimes. It needs to get some shape. It needs a starting point. It needs a focus. And it needs appropriate space as well. It needs appropriate context. Now, Hyla has some context, the context of appropriateness. Yes, the context of trusting your own inner self. If you trust yourself to be good, if your intents, if you have clear intents, and those intents are always good, then what you want is by default also going to be good. Trust. Right? So there's a lot in this. I mean, this could be, if I was in a university circumstance, this would be a whole semester just on this sharing of Biella. Yeah? Just on the sharing, just what Biella says here. You'd spend months on this. Right? Now, if you are reading this with the intent of self-development, personal development, self-improvement, this is something to take to heart and say, how do I apply this? How do I apply this? And practice applying it and come back to it over and over and over again until it is one with you innate, until you've made it your own, not just, taking what Biella says. No, you've got to make it your own. By making it your own, right, you shape it, you transform it. It's not quite the same. That's why when Biella expresses this, she's made it her own. Right? It's not my words. It's now Biella's words. It's part of the same process. Right? Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. And I'm very impressed with that. Very, very impressed with how that came out. And, when I read it the other day, on Sunday, because I'm not reading it in with the same focus and attention, I wasn't as impressed as I am now. I'm very impressed with this now. I'm like, wow, really cool. This is really awesome stuff. At least to me, I hope it is for you as well. I hope you enjoy it too, Norman. Beena, you like that? You like Biella sharing? I assume you do.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. You
Very,
know
very
that
beautiful. I know. I'm just, I don't want to assume, so I just check. I'm really, I'm quite blown away by how awesome that is. Really, I thought that's like really potent stuff there, and so beautifully said as well, right? The kindness in there. The kindness in there. Because like I said, she's not sharing just a philosophical point. Oh, I understand this way. No, it is said in a particular way with a particular intent. The intent to create space for Hyla to now come out with her story. Right? It's a double thing that she's doing, or multi-layered, not just double, multi-layered. But the kindness and the consideration and the generosity and the sophistication and the nobility of it, it's yes, when we understand it, when we see it through that lens, we might not always be even recognize it. Like Hyla doesn't quite recognize it in that moment what it is. Ursula is, yes, because she already knows this is what that Biella does, this sort of layered complexity and sophistication. She does it deliberately. Oh, I'm pleased you enjoyed that from Biella. And you see now why I love Biella so much, Norman, because she is so layered, so deep, so sophisticated, and so kind. And she doesn't really care if her kindness is seen or not. It's immaterial. Totally immaterial. Hyla can completely miss her kindness. Doesn't matter. The end result for Hyla is that the space is being created, and it is going to pull her story for her, and it is going to get her to share her story with the connectivity to some focus and context. Yeah. So the end result is accomplished. Whether or not Hyla is aware that Biella did this deliberately with this intense sophistication or not doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to Biella. Her ego is not involved. She does what is appropriate. Appropriateness is beautiful. Yes, I love it too. Love it too. Absolutely. Oh, just a joy to have. Just a joy to have. Right? So when we understand this profoundness and sophistication, we get an insight and a glimpse into something truly special. Yes. Biella is very special. That's why she's the focus of the story. In the series, This is book 1 of the Biella series. It's a long series, many books, right? Because she truly is very special, right, Beena?
Yes.
That's the very magical thing, very magical thing. Any comments on this, Beena? Any takeaways?
Okay, the first, the very obvious like one is that it adds a lot to the story and to any sharing, that how you actually share that.
Beena.
And this projection, or like, okay, your examples of sophistication in their sharing, it projects that, okay, how they act, how sophisticated they are in their being. Because yes, it's free, it's not a stress, but the environment like encourages you, I must say, that actually make you feel like to be sophisticated, not just
Exactly,
like, okay, yes, you are doing
exactly.
something deliberately.
Yes,
This then
yes,
the
Beena.
environment
Yes,
actually
yes, yes,
makes you more sophisticated. That is something
yes,
that I really
yes.
enjoyed, that because if
You
someone is
are articulating an intent of mine in writing the story. That this environment stimulates us to be more. And I want to share that this is possible. There are alternatives. I've taken an extreme, but in the extreme, we get to see everything else also. Right? We don't have to follow the extreme, but to be aware that environment is crucial. And when we have a supporting environment, an environment that supports moreness, sophistication, sharing, goodness, kindness, generosity, consideration, right? When it stimulates it in us to also be so. That's what you're saying, right, Ween?
yes.
That's
And this is
that
this
that
is that's a
that's
profound
my intent
opportunity.
for the
This
book.
is the real,
It is
this
my
is the real
intent. Yeah,
profoundness.
exactly. And it is the intent of the book to show this, to demonstrate it, right? Not to write it and say, I could write it, as a sentence to say, if we have environments which are profound and sophisticated, it will lead to encouraging that in others. Yeah. But yeah, you see it in action, and you pull that as a takeaway, even though it's not specifically said. This is very, very gratifying because this is the intent. And also, of course, this is Nobelia-Living. The Nobelia-Living is precisely leveraging, utilizing, enjoying, maximizing this incredible environment, this environment of moreness. And moreness leads to moreness, and it just, you get a whole culture of moreness every day, everywhere you go. It's always this incredible moreness. Whenever you talk to Biella, stuff like this comes out of it. Ursula's realized this, which is why Ursula's absolutely blown away and is so profoundly appreciative of Biella. So appreciative that she said, much like somebody else I know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking with you, Biella. You're not getting rid of me. How can she? When you understand it to that extent, right? And you know that, man, I've got nothing like this in my life, right? I'm going to cling on to this here as much as I can because I need to learn all this, absorb it. Now, Ursula's a quick study, as somebody else I know also is, right? But nonetheless, right? She's doing the most sensible thing possible. She's acting from the most utmost sobriety to basically stick with fear. Now, of course, she wouldn't stick with Biella. She checked, right? She said, look, I really feel very connected to you in a very particular special way. And Biella said, yes, I appreciate that. And it's not just one side. When they were sitting on the bench by the river right before Camellias.
Yeah.
So this connection that they feel, it's not just one-sided, because if it was only one-sided, Ursula would have a hard time, basically, just following Biella around and being just a follower and, being potentially a nuisance, yeah, or, an extra strain on her. No, it's reciprocated. And that's why they've become deep, deep friends, yes, and continue to be so throughout the rest of the series. We're starting off with Biella, but really the story becomes Biella and Ursula. And you're going to see this. And Ursula's sophistication, she becomes essentially, a full new noble very quickly because she so completely absorbs Biella and makes it her own. This is very key, right? That Ursula makes it her own. So we get to hear Ursula expressing the same stuff, but again, in Ursula's language, Ursula's way, which is much more difficult for me to write Ursula, by the way, than Biella. Very difficult for me to write Ursula. Because I'm very tempted to write it, it comes out very similar to Biella, but no, it's different. So hopefully, as the series goes on, Ursula maintains her own voice. But it's difficult, though. I'll tell you now already. It's difficult. Or it
For
has been.
me, Ursula is a bit of mysterious character for me.
She's fantastic.
And
She is exactly.
yeah, so
But Ursula is you. Ursula is you. Ursula is just that sensibility and sobriety to say, here's moreness. Here's incredible moreness that I've been invited to participate in. And I'm going to take full advantage of that invitation. Yes?
yeah, oh yes, oh yes. But it was in discussion like a couple of years ago. Like, okay, shamelessly opportunistic. Like, okay, being shamelessly opportunistic. It sounds very like, okay, oh, like no, but it is always in context, like every other thing in life. What opportunity it actually is. If it is an opportunity of like literally your lifetime thing, I would be very shameless to grab that opportunity. And this is what I did. Why to feel shame about this? Do you
Exactly.
see
No.
that? Okay, this is what I want. And this is the universe is providing me. I would be actually stupid if I would not grab it. And
Exactly.
I'm not that stupid.
Exactly. I have a profound question for you, Beena, and for you, Norma.
Yes.
Are you listening, Norma? I hope so. Very profound, deep question. Now, in the same way that we see Ursula grabbing this opportunity with both hands and feet and soul and mind and body and heart, she grabs it fully,
Okay.
right? Yeah? Taking every advantage of this opportunity offered her. In the same way, the question that I want to ask you is Biella grabbing the opportunity of Ursula?
Yes.
Exactly. It's no less of a profound gift and value and awesomeness and moreness to Biella. Ursula is no less profound. Just the same as Biella is profound and valuable and awesome to Ursula. Ursula is profound and valuable and awesome and a maximum capital G gift to Biella. You see that, yes, Beena?
Oh, yes.
Do you see that, Norma? Do you see how Ursula is a profound, magical, awesome, sublime gift to Biella? Not only Ursula, but Hyla now too. Yes, Ursula is, we could say, yeah, but Ursula's kind of special. Well, okay. And so you say, well, duh, obviously she's valuable to Ursula. But what about Hyla? Hyla's very ordinary. Hyla is very, very ordinary. This is the magic of Hyla. Hyla basically represents most people that I know who think just a little bit more about life, who aren't going through life oblivious, right? Who are interested in spirituality and moreness, right? They're right there. Hyla is a magic agglomeration aggregate of the average person who is struggling, stressing, got anxiety and worries and troubles and issues, but wants more and wants spirituality, right? Yes. But I'm asking, my question is, Norma, do you see how Ursula is a profound gift to Biella, just as Biella is obviously a profound gift to Ursula, that Ursula's taking advantage of? Do you see how Biella is taking advantage of the gifts of not only Ursula, but now also Biella? I mean, sorry, Hyla. Do you see it the other way, Norma? That's what I'm asking. Do you see how Ursula and Hyla are profound, magical, awesome gifts to Biella? It works both ways. Do you see that, Norma? Norma? It's very important to understand. It's very crucial because we tend to, in the superiority paradigm, Biella has got so much moreness to her. She's so sophisticated. Yes? Yeah. Yes, I see, but Ursula more aware. I don't understand. Awareness. Ursula's not more aware than Biella in this context. Not even close. And she's aware that she's not as aware as Biella. Right? But that's my point. Superiority paradigm says more is the one that is offering the most value. But to the new nobility, absolutely this is not so. Right? The value to Biella of Ursula is incredible. It's different value, but it's still as much as the value of Biella to Ursula, or Hyla for that, right? As we'll see going forward. Right? Just because Biella is more sophisticated and more aware and more understanding and more articulate about these things, that doesn't mean that she has more value and Ursula has less value. No, the value's profound in both cases. And when value is profound, there's no equating it. There's no comparing it. The value is profound. Doesn't matter. I wouldn't say Biella's unaware of her cleverness. No, she knows exactly what she is and who she is. It's just not an issue to her. She doesn't care about cleverness, right? So it seems like she's unaware, but no, she's absolutely acutely aware of her own sophistication. Right, but she's practiced being just is, but it's deliberate, Norma. Everything that Biella does is deliberate. That's her sophistication. It's all deliberate. But because she's able to, she's developed the ability to not have cleverness and ego be an issue in her life. She succeeded in making this a non-issue. That's why it seems like she just is, but it's all deliberate. She deliberately just is. Yeah, it's an incredible skill that Biella has. Yeah. Biella is unbelievable, just super awesome. It's hard to even for us to comprehend her. We have to learn to raise our awareness to comprehend her more. Correct. She's very integrated. She's very together. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But it doesn't make her not deliberate though. Right? When we say just is, that typically implies not being deliberate. No. Every single thing that Biella does is deliberate. It's done in full conscious awareness. That whole sharing that she shares to Hyla, right? This preamble to set up, it's done consciously. She knows what she's doing. Even though she lets it come, it's very conscious. But she's also deliberately allowing things to come. It's very sophisticated. Very, very sophisticated. My main point here, though, is just because Biella is so phenomenal doesn't mean that she has more value to Ursula than Ursula has to her. No. In the new nobility thinking, there's no such thing. They understand how value is profound regardless of where you act and how you are different. The value is there. It's in a different value, but it's still value and it's still profound. And because of that, they have this incredible interaction where it doesn't matter you the oldest new noble on the planet and you know everything. You still get value out of the aspirants. They provide value to you, not just you for them. Yes, of course, you have lots of value for them too. But likewise, they have lots of value too. There's value to sharing. There's value to sharing. There's value to sharing. Value to sharing. Yes. Always, always. And when you have an ear, right, a receptive ear that is pulling things from you, the value lies in leveraging your responsibility. To say anything, when you understand responsibility and you have integrity, right? Now you are being asked to say very profound things in a very responsible way because you know that you might have influence. So you've got to share profoundness without it being influential. What a challenge, what a challenge, what a challenge. Profound stuff, profound stuff. No problem, Norma. I realized that. I realized it's difficult. That's why, I said, come on Zoom and you can share better. Articulation and expression is difficult, especially in time. I realized that. It's all good. That's why I was helping you clarify it and clean it up. Because it is difficult to communicate. But still, I just wanted to make this point, right? To really understand and to understand how much we can be appreciated regardless of where we're at in our learning and growth. On Nobelia, it's totally irrelevant. Everyone is appreciated to the maximum because the new nobility fully understand the value of sharing and action when earnestness and the desire to learn and grow is paramount, which it is, of course, with Ursula especially. With Haile, it starts off that way. We're going to see if she can sustain it. Haile is a very good example of what could be and what may be, and again, the difference between Haile and Ursula. Maybe she goes Ursula's way, we don't know. We're going to see. All right. On that note, we shall end. What a wonderful session. Yes. Setting us up for Sunday. Beena, any comments on what I was saying?
I was just enjoying this, really.
Very magical. Very magical.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye, Norma. Thank you for sharing, Norma. Thank you for commenting. Love you as always, every day. Very profound stuff. Very profound stuff. I love this. Just love Biella.
Biella is
So
unaware of
magical.
her cleverness. Wow. Okay.
She isn't. She isn't.
No,
She
it's
just
a
doesn't.
cleverness,
It's
really.
not an. Yeah, she's very clever, exceedingly so. But because cleverness is not of issue to her, it's not important to her. It's not a thing in her life. That's why it seems like she's unaware of her cleverness, but she's not. She is very aware of this. And she's aware of it and makes an effort to not come across as being clever. Yeah. So it seems like she's unaware, but that's part of her skill, part of her sophistication, because she knows that's corrupting and it's not a part of what she feels, and she knows it's not important. But yet the actions are clever, but it's not communicated, it's not part of it. So this is Biella's profound consideration and sophistication. Because if she does share that she's being clever, the whole thing is corrupt. It all falls apart. Biella is beyond sophistication. She is sophisticated to the nth degree. It's hard to comprehend the level of her sophistication. Incredibly sophisticated. Everything is deliberate. Don't forget that ever with Biella. Everything is conscious and deliberate. She knows what she's doing. She's doing it on purpose. She has the ability to be sophisticated to this extreme. And also, somebody could say, yeah, but Biella's unrealistic. Because you're writing this character and you're sitting and thinking it all through and coming out and all this. No. Biella's comments were written in real time as a response to Haile. I can show you the original conversation. Haile said her stuff, Biella responded. Yeah? It's not created, it's not constructed. It came out that way in real time. Right? So it's real. That's not something that the average reader is necessarily going to know, but I'm putting it out there now to say Biella is not a constructed character that's hypothetical. No, Biella is very real. Biella is very, very. It's possible to be Biella, in other words. Yeah, it's possible.
Yes.
What I'm saying. It's very important to understand. Very important to understand. Because, when we see an exemplification of an ideal that we wish to that we feel, oh, this is something I would like to be, like I was saying yesterday, right? Models, role models. Biella is the profound ultimate role model. But if we don't feel that she's real, then, you know, well, you don't quite feel like you can aspire to be it. But when you realize that Biella is absolutely real, now it becomes a worthy ideal to pursue. Not to exactly be like Biella, of course, you can never be that way. You've got to find your own path. But you can use much of it and you can trust it because you know it's real. Very important to know this. Absolutely love Biella. Absolutely love, 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 love. She's truly special. Um, I love, love, love Ursula also. All the characters, but Biella has got a deep spot in my heart. She's something else. All right. Magical Beena, very close to Biella. Didn't know that. I didn't know Beena when I wrote Biella. But yeah. Materialization of intent. We are seeing in Beena, we are seeing early Biella.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a big responsibility.
Maybe. But it's the same path, Beena. Biella is simply the culmination of a path that's available to everyone. Biella isn't innately special, same as Ursula's not innately special. And Ursula said this, I don't feel like I'm particularly clever. I just did a few things like me. All of the stuff that I have that's valuable comes from two skills: thinking things through to the end, and perspective shifting to multiple perspectives. And those I do really, 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 really well. Why? Not because I have any particular innate genius or specialness, no, but simply practice. Anybody can do it, right? So Biella is the culmination of what anyone can do should they simply make the effort to do so, right? So I have news for you, Biella. If we continue doing what we're doing, you and I both, continuing on this path that we are going to become Biellas at some point. It's inevitable.
I said that okay, it's a huge responsibility. Even if the
It is.
slightest idea, even if it is just the slightest idea
Yeah,
that okay, oh yes, it's a potential, it brings so much more because
correct.
that Biala is the person or the character or the idea or the being. Uh, for me, this would be
The
the last
ideal.
person to think of myself like. I was
Correct.
like, wow,
But now
wow,
when we look at but look at the earlier chapters, right? That chapter Biella Noble, for instance, right?
yes,
Biella has the same perspective and opinion about herself as you just articulated. Biella doesn't think she's something special. She knows a lot. She knows she has awareness. But she can't feel special. Why? Because, well, it's just like the stuff. It's just the accumulation of all sorts of dirt stuff put together. It just is what it is. She cannot feel
exactly.
special, even though she knows she is special. She doesn't feel special.
Wow.
All the new nobility are like this. It's just part of the magic of that culture. Fantastic culture. Beautiful culture. Humility,
Beautiful
capital H
culture.
humility. She appreciates herself, but she's humble at the same time. Fantastic combination. Why I love her so.
All right.
And
Okay.
through loving
Yeah.
Biella, of course, I learned to love myself.
Hmm.
Because I tend to have taken, much like Biella, I tend to have taken humility to the extreme and overdone it. Right.
Overdone
Yes.
it.
Yeah. So through Biella, I learned to love myself.
Yes. Yes. I'm laughing on it. Sorry, sir, but
No,
I have
no,
to
it's
actually
appropriate to
think
laugh.
about
It's
this
very amusing.
because
Oh, it's
because
appropriate.
because
Oh, it's most appropriate. I love it. It's most
you you
appropriate.
you You did like really overwhelmed for this.
Oh yes, way overdone, way overdone. So, to get to that point where we can acknowledge that we are special, truly, but also not lose our humility. This is a great accomplishment. Yes.
I think that okay, we better say that we must not lose our true self, yeah, or real self.
Exactly, exactly.
Not
But,
going into
to realize that
humility.
your true self, because of time and energy, is you made it into something exceptional.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Now, it's only exceptional
and
because, well, not everybody's done it. On Nobelia, all right, Biella is a little bit exceptional, but not really so. Right?
yes, everybody else is doing the same thing. They are coming with
Exactly,
such an
exactly,
amazing
exactly,
insight, such an amazing
exactly,
way of being also,
exactly,
like
exactly,
Aki and other. Of course, not.
exactly.
It's a different side, like Arshila, of course.
Yeah,
Even even the the the, the weird guy one that who was
Camelius.
yes, Camillus was also showing a lot of moreness there, but of course
Oh,
it was distracting.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Camelius is very sophisticated. There's tons of mourners to him, but he's missing just a few key elements, which messes him up. Right? Really sad. That's why he's there. We're going to see similar, not quite the same, but we're going to see a lot in Hela as well, by way of contrast. Right? It's very powerful stuff. It's very, very
Because
magical.
it's not easy to really accept, know, and accept and acknowledge the other possibilities. It's a very difficult task. Sometimes it takes your whole lifetime to understand and acknowledge and accept that they are other ways of being. It is possible, and we just struggle. We keep struggling and struggling and struggling because just because we didn't have that little nuance understanding at
Exactly,
that particular point.
exactly. We need so little sometimes, and we lose out by default because we don't know
Yes.
that there are other options. By the way, Hela and later Boynel comes into the story. They are in the story purely because of attunement. Utterly, totally, completely because of attunement. Yeah. I paid attention to attunement. They came, they're in the story. I wrote it, not knowing where it's going, and made it and just fitted it in as appropriate, but purely out of attunement. And the magic of it is incredible. The magic of it is really special. I just wanted to be aware of that as we go along, right? That I didn't look for Haile to come into the story. Haile happened at that time and was there, and it was appropriate. And I had the intent to have attunement mourners come into the story. How it was going to come, I didn't know. It came via Haile and later via Boyno. So it's very, very cool. Very, very cool how it all works. Very, very cool. You know, I always loved the story, but I never quite felt uh, impressed by the story the way an author should be impressed if they are going to publish their book. If you're not impressed by your story, then don't publish it because it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, but if you are impressed, now you feel your book is legitimately worth publishing. Yeah, and I'm starting to feel that there's more that I can feel. I have to get to the end of it to see if it's cohesive and all ties together. Yeah, but up until this point, I feel absolutely publishable right up until this point. Now I know there's more coming that's really cool, but the end, I don't really remember the end so well, so we'll have to see. But it's very important to feel that way. I never felt that way about the book before. I loved it, I enjoyed it, but on a personal way, not impressed with it as something that's magical in and of its own self. That's new for me. That's new for me. Not easy to say, but I have to. I'm
Hmm.
just being honest. Just being honest. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Right, Beena? Wonderful
Yes.
stuff. All right. All right. On that note, we'll end. It's a long session, but very profound stuff. Anybody watching this, I really recommend you take the time to, if you connect to the Moreness here and you're really interested in the Moreness, to go over it and over it until it really settles. It's incredibly profound stuff we've shared here. Very life-changing, life-changing, life-changing. Yes? All right. On that note, we'll end. I don't want to end because I'm really having fun. This is profound and Moreness, but we will. Bye-bye, Norma. Bye-bye, Norma. Magicness. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Norma.
Thank
See you
you,
on
Dharma.
Sunday.
Thank
So
you, everyone.
tomorrow, no live, no open tomorrow.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Sunday.
And
See you on
and
Sunday.
maybe if we'll be able to finish our story, what we are reading, Musashi's story actually, and then
Yeah,
maybe after Sunday we will start doing that,
yeah,
going into capital R reading of that too.
yeah, yeah.
Believe
We
me,
can
for
do
me,
that.
okay, again, it depends on your interest, but for me,
Oh,
it's
I
a
have interest in
wonderful
doing so.
experience.
Could be.
It's a
We
wonderful
can, we
experience.
can, we can maybe do Musashi on Saturday. Saturdays, because I don't think we'll do it all in one
Yeah, but
Saturday.
we haven't read that completely. So I just want to go
Yeah,
through
but
first.
we can do it live. We can
Okay,
just read it live.
we'll see.
Yeah, the one. It's an all different perspective. Bonus, bonus. All right, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All right, bye bye, bye bye, everybody. Bye bye, bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
See you on Sunday.
Yes.
Stop live stream.